Administration officials headed to Mexico, but the border is not on the itinerary, if you can believe that one. As the Biden administration ignores the border crisis, a group of GOP governors toured the chaos at the border this week. A Quinnipiac poll finds only 23% of people approve of how President Biden is handling the border crisis, or not handling it. Joining me right now is Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. He was one of those governors who visited the border. Joining the conversation all morning long this morning, James Freeman and Steve Moore. Great to see you, Governor. Thanks very much for joining the conversation. Tell us about your border trip. What was your takeaway?
It was good. I went down to visit our Ohio National Guard members. We have 113 who've been down there for a whole year. Talk with them, talk to a number of the Border Patrol, and I think got a pretty good idea of what's going on. I mean, I think the president just needs, first of all, he needs to go to the border. When I have a crisis or I have a disaster in Ohio, I go there, whatever that is, and try to talk to the people. I think it's symbolic, but it's also important. You always learn things and find things out. What goes on in the border, directly impacts Ohio. Probably the biggest impact is fentanyl. 80% of the people who overdose in Ohio every single week, and it remains a huge problem, are overdosing on fentanyl. That fentanyl is originally coming out of China. We've got to do more to put pressure on the Chinese government to block it, do what they can do, and they can certainly do a lot more. But then it comes into Mexico, the drug cartels take it, and it comes right through that southern border. So this directly impacts Ohio. The president has got to come up with a plan. He should look to some of the policies, certainly, that President Trump had. He did away with all those policies, and he hasn't really replaced them with anything.
Yeah. You mentioned the fentanyl overdoses. Overall, the country has seen more than 93,000 overdoses in the last year, largely because of fentanyl. I understand when I went down to the border, I was told that they're lacing commonly used drugs like a Xanax, commonly used drugs. They're lacing it with fentanyl. Why are the Mexican cartels pushing this drug into America so aggressively?
Well, the cartels, for a while, were growing the poppies down there and making it into heroin. That was their business plan. They figured out that this is just a better business plan. It's cheaper for them. The fentanyl is so potent, it does not take very much for anyone to get a high. And of course, that's the problem.
Wow.
They mix it, and they continues to mix it. So somebody who is shooting up in Ohio or who is smoking it, they don't know what they're buying. There's no quality control, and so many times it's too much, and they overdose. This fentanyl is very lethal, very, very powerful, but they're doing it for the same reason they do everything, Maria, and that is to make money. They don't care about people. They want to make money, and we've got to get tougher on our southern border.
Which is why they're charging people tens of thousands of dollars just to get to the border. Tell me about the human trafficking, and do we know if any of these migrants are being sent to Ohio? We now have some truth out of this administration on what they're doing with all of these migrants. Secretary Mayorkas admitted that most of those 17,000 people under the Del Rio Bridge a couple of weeks ago have been released into America. Where is this going? We had 1.5 million apprehensions year to date. Are we going to see a changed country in the coming years because of all of these new people being allowed to settle and jump the line of immigration?
Well, this is a real incentive for people to do this. I mean, when you talk to the people, President Biden's own people on the Border Patrol, federal people, and when you get them aside and talk to them, certainly what they tell you is that when the president came into office, things dramatically changed, and we started seeing a lot more people come in. And the reason is, if you look at this, basically a catch and release policy where they are caught, then a huge number of them, the majority of them, we're told, are actually released. They're giving a date to show up in court way in the distance. And, what do you think the odds are that they're going to show up? So what that does is create this magnet, this huge magnet to come into the United States. And so when you send people that signal, what you end up with and what
Sure.
the Biden administration tragically has ended up with is a human tragedy that's going on along the border, as well as a tragedy for the United States.
Yeah, well, we've watched it evolve. I went to the border for the first time in April of 2019. In 2020, apprehensions were at a 20-year low. And then we went again earlier this year, and we were at like a 20-year high, and I was able to witness all of that myself, and it's pretty extraordinary. We will be going again, a third time, to the border next week. So, Governor, thanks very much for all you've done. We'll continue the spotlight on this because it's obviously incredibly impactful for American citizens. Governor, thanks very much. We'll check in soon, Governor.
Thanks, Maria.
Yeah.